Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Comstech team welcomes Honorable Excellencies and guests. Please accept our heartfelt gratitude for sparing your precious time and gracing the launching ceremony of the Journal of Science Communication and Diplomacy, a joint effort of Comstech and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Pakistan. I request Qari Kosar Mahmood to please come and recite from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you. Translation of the recitation. With the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot of blood. Read, and your Lord is most gracious, who taught knowledge by pen, taught men that which he did not know. Allah Almighty has said the truth. Translation ends. To know the story behind this endeavor of Journal of Science Communication and Diplomacy, I would like to invite Editor-in-Chief of the journal, Professor Dr. Javed Khurshid sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our chief guest is a little late and he is also coming. That's Ambassador Tahir Andabi, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then His Excellency Professor Dr. Bal Chaudhary, Coordinator Journal of OIC Comstech. His Excellencies and Dr. Osama, Senior Advisor, and a well-known figure is here also with us this evening. We welcome him to. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and honored signatories. I am pleased to welcome you to the inaugural launch of the Journal of Science and Communication and Diplomacy. Today we gather to celebrate a significant milestone in the pursuit of the science, communication, and diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, the nexus between science, communication, and diplomacy has become very crucial in an increasing complex and interconnected world. As we grapple with the pressing global challenges like climate change, pandemics, and technological disruptions of effective science, communication, and diplomacy are essential for fostering international cooperation, addressing social matters it needs, and promoting sustainable development. It all started about a year ago when Professor Iqbal Chaudhary suggested forming a comstech Science, Communication, and Advisory Committee. at the outset of the international conference held in 2023. To achieve the critical and crucial field of science communication and to raise awareness on the national level of science and diplomacy. We have started many programs under this committee, introduced many training courses in different universities from 3 days to 3 credit hours or 5 days, floated Comstech Science Communication Awards in academia and journalism. Many monographs are in publication on science communication in climate change, health, and agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, the Journal of Science Communication and Diplomacy, born out of a recognition that science communication and diplomacy are vital components of modern diplomacy. Foreign policy and global governance, our mission is to provide a premier platform for the scholars, practitioners, and policymakers to share their research insights and experiences in the relationship between science communication and diplomacy. We are thankful that thinking was fully supported by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which was also thinking on the same line. Through this journal, we aim to facilitate a rich and inclusive dialogue among diverse stakeholders, exploring critical issues such as science diplomacy, public engagement with the science policy, and the communication of scientific information in international affairs. We decided to feature original reference journals, articles, case studies, and opinion pieces that show innovative thinking, best practices, and cutting-edge research in the field. Our vision is to contribute meaningfulness to the global conversation of science, communication, and diplomacy, informing policy decisions, shaping public discourse, and inspiring new generation of science communicators and diplomats. We believe that by bridging the gap between nations, culture, and disciplines, we can harness the power of the science and communication to build a more equitable, sustainable, and peaceful world. Here, I like to invite you to help us on the exciting journey as we launch the first and second issue of the Journal of Science Communication and Diplomacy. Let us explore the frontier of science communication and diplomacy together and create a brighter future for all the scientists to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sir, for your insightful note. Now I would invite Professor Dr. Osama Rais, who is expert entrepreneurship and digital transformation at Arab Organization for Agricultural Development for Sudan and honorary advisor comstech. Please, Professor Dr. Osama Rais.
Thank you very much. Ramadan Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. My honor to address you in this forum, bringing together people from diplomacy and from science. So this is science diplomacy. So this is your group. So you are forming this new discipline. It's an old discipline, but is being now newly addressed, characterized as one of the soft power mechanisms. And very soon it will not be a soft power mechanism. Very soon it is a hard power mechanism. Science had been before with culture, with other constituents are forming our nations, the fabric of the nation. But Recently, this component has been taking a new place. We are living in a new age, digital age, now in artificial intelligence age. Science is now forming business, forming international relations, forming agriculture, climate, interactions, and it's cross-cutting issue in all life aspects. As I said previously, science diplomacy, like development diplomacy, like cultural diplomacy, like all sectorial diplomacies, had emerged from the national and international agendas. And now the body of diplomacy in this science diplomacy is following and learning from classical diplomacy, all its means and mechanisms. I believe most of the nations now are having scientific or technological attaché at their embassies, looking at their agenda outside. They have representatives in international organizations that are dealing with science and scientific issues like UNESCO, like comstech, like most of the organizations now, even WHO, now scientific agenda is core agenda in WHO, combating and fighting diseases, which needs collaboration. So science diplomacy is now a tool for fostering cooperation, for achieving international agenda, global agenda, and national agenda at the same time. Also, science diplomacy is a main mechanism for collaboration on science itself. Science have no border. Nobel is a science diplomacy mechanism, Nobel Prize, as well as Third World Academy of Science is an example, the awards, and this is all diplomacy. Multilateral relations, unilateral relations are there. So most of the diplomatic mechanisms, the structures, we find it now in the diplomacy, science diplomacy. Again, the third thing is that science now is serving diplomacy. We can have a look in the future. We can have a better look in the relations and what is happening around the world to give the diplomat or the foreign relation expert a deeper look, a wider look into the issues and how they interact and how the issues can drag in the future. So now AI is helping diplomacy. So those three parties are forming the science diplomacy. And I believe we need closer cooperation between people of classical diplomacy and people of science. Ambassadors and professors should come together. Their secretaries and teaching assistants, they are doing the same thing. Diplomacy in its heart is a scientific look into the relation, using scientific method. I have been in contact with many of the foreign affairs activities and international activities, and I have seen how serious diplomatic reports are, as well as any scientific publication, paper, or something like that. So most of the people here and there are using scientific methods, standard methodological, structural ways of research. and trying to see beyond data and facts. I believe that we need a closer cooperation in such an event now, which is an excellent example of science diplomacy. Comstech in itself is an example of science diplomacy, bringing OIC members for common agendas, working together for serving OIC agenda. I need to highlight also that we need more professional training in this field. Both diplomats will take these files and desks and scientists who are involved in dialogues, in speeches, or in whatsoever address for science diplomacy, they lack the diplomatic mechanisms. And diplomatic people needs a larger look into scientific issues, the agenda, the depths, and the where it goes, and so on. What we need. So this dialogue and exchange of knowledge between the two fields is quite necessary. I call here for Comstech to have a kind of training or workshop that brings together people from diplomacy, standard diplomacy, and scientists, and to be a certified track where people will be going to work on these areas, have proper formal training. I don't want to take too much time. Star is there, and Prof. Chaudhary is having a lot to say. His Excellency is also having a lot to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your thoughtful speech on the changing scenarios of the world, particularly influenced by the disruptive technologies. To share the idea of the motivation behind the starting of this journal, I would like to invite the patron-in-chief of the journal and coordinator general Comstech, Professor Dr. Tripathi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, my dear brothers, and I'm so absolutely delighted to see all of you. You represent so many countries, so many regions, and we all together here in Comstech is an excellent example of science diplomacy. Each one of you is actually working together with us in strengthening Comstech mission. And that is science as a vehicle and tool for the development of socio-economic paradigm in the Muslim world and elsewhere. We're also so delighted to have with us His Excellency Chief Guest Ambassador Tahir Hussain Andrabi, who is the Additional Foreign Secretary as well as the Director General of Science Diplomacy, and that actually represents that Pakistan's foreign affairs plays science diplomacy as a very important tool and a vehicle for highlighting soft image of the country and connecting with the other countries also. Dr. Nasser Shah, the Vice Chancellor of Shahid bin Ali Bhutto Medical University in Lausana, she's with us. Justice Sayyid Muhammad Anwar Sahab is with us, and some other dignitaries. Brother Sama, you are a strength for us. He is one of the most brainy persons I've ever seen in my life. You know, this wonderful soul is such a strength for the Muslim world, and we're so absolutely delighted that he is part of Comstech team. He is the member of the advisory council. He's the senior advisor of Comstech. I wish to remind you that I'm a professional scientist, and when I write, nobody can understand. And let me tell you, and the reason is that back in 17th century, when Galileo in Italy presented the theory of heliocentric world, sun-centric world, the church was after them. And same happened to Isaac Newton. You know, he was his writings were declared as blasphemy and all that. And as a result of it, in order to defend our own endeavor, we develop a language which nobody else understands except us. And therefore, what we write, we can only understand to each other, and no one else can understand. As a result of it, we have complete disconnect with society. We have no communication with the world because our language is so alien and so different. And this leads to major communication dilemma. Most of the information which you see are actually disinformation. I can give you a few examples. You know, for instance, I just Googled and there are people that still believe that no one has ever landed on moon. And that GM food is evil. Let people die hungry, but there is no genetic modification. And then even the president of one of the largest countries of the world, environmental degradation and global warming are all myths, not there. 760 articles on car running on pure water in this country. You know. Polio vaccine will sterile our children. As a result, we are one country with polio cases still coming. And then coronavirus infection is just a minor flu. Fake news. You know, these all are examples of miscommunication. And of course, failure of communication on behalf of scientists. Scientists are not able to communicate science because one reason is technical, they are not trained in any science, in any writing which other people can understand. So their critical training in writing is so poor that they cannot really communicate. Exactly same thing happened with media because they know very little about science. As a result of it, this intermix or nexus of science and media is also very important. Science, communication, and diplomacy are intertwined. With science communication enhancing diplomacy by fostering understanding and trust, while diplomacy facilitates the international exchange of scientific knowledge and collaboration. Without that, this organic relationship is extremely important. All big projects of the world, including CERN in Switzerland, to Sesame in your country, uh, they are great examples of science diplomacy. While there was a Cold War, Russia, Soviet Union, and American astronauts were actually working together on international space station. So there are science diplomacy and of course extremely important component of diplomatic effort. Science and society is integral part of it. They are extremely important. Science society benefit from scientific discoveries and scientific value, while there is no science without creating a constituency in society. If society is not supporting science, I cannot do any science. We need to create constituency, we need to communicate to society what benefits science brings, along with values, because science is a great value system. Science brings rationality, science brings logic, science brings understanding and rational dialogue. So science is not dogmatic. It is something which is very fluid. And I give you one example before leaving and inviting Excellency Assalamu alaikum. Ambassador Azrabi to speak on this topic. Coronavirus pandemic was a classical example of science failure to communicate, where the people considered conspiracy theory all over, fake news, there is no coronavirus, nothing. There's a minor flu, take Sana Makhi, take garlic pills or whatever, and you would be treated. And then this vaccine, which was a major, you know, in this country, 63% of the population has refused to take a vaccine unless their telephone SIM were blocked. They were more caring about their telephone SIM than the life they were living with, you know, the danger which they faced. So our failure to communicate in the pandemic has really cost a lot of lives. It was a major disaster. Many countries, socio-economic meltdown, and many things happened because scientists were not able to communicate effectively what this pandemic was. On the other hand, the scientific discoveries, scientific success has not been communicated. Within 2 months of the report of the first case in Wuhan, the entire genome of the virus was deciphered, presented. Its infectivity, its surface viability was reported. Everything was there about the virus and its infective mechanism. As a result of it, uh, social distances, masks, and everything else was introduced. And within 4 months, his genome was translated into vaccine candidate. By October 2020, the first vaccine was already in marketplace, and there were 200 vaccine candidates in different countries. Never in the history of the world, science has saved humanity as the way it has saved in pandemic. 3.6% according to WHO is fatality rate of coronavirus. According to that rate, at least 300 million people have had to die before this pandemic ended in a natural cycle. Only 7 million fatalities were reported. So you see, this is the great success of science, which we were never able to communicate to the people. As a result of it, science is still on weaker ground. The Muslim world is spending very little, very less. Our global expenditure on research and development is far less than sub-Saharan African countries. So we were able to communicate science effectively, and this is exactly what we want to do with this journal. We want to communicate science in the most effective manner. And we want to communicate to everyone, including the most important component of governance structure, which are our diplomats, because they are the ones who represent country, society, culture, knowledge, education. Thank you very much for coming and being part of this very exciting journey. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your comprehensive, guiding, motivational remarks, and particularly highlighting the issues and need of the science communication by mentioning real-world examples. Now, I would like to request the chief guest of the ceremony and the joint editor of the journal which we are going to launch now, Ambassador Tahir Hussain Andarabi, Additional Foreign Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and DG Science Diplomacy.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, ambassadors, distinguished ambassadors, representatives, Honorable Professor Iqbal Chaudhry, Dr. Osama Rais, our teacher, Professor Javed Khurshid. It's indeed a great privilege for me to be here. I've been attending science events as a student. So to be the last speaker on an important science event is a privilege that I really cherish. I do wish to point out that when this event was to be organized in the month of Ramadan, I had my skepticism, but seeing the participation and the interest, I think my skepticism was proved wrong. I do point out that speaking before iftar is difficult. Making a speech before iftar is difficult, but if anything is more difficult than that, it is to listen to a speech. So I empathize with you, but I'll try to be brief. This launch of Journal of Science, Communication and Diplomacy is a joint endeavor of Comstech and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've been trying to pull our resources, administrative and intellectual, to come up with this. This at best is a modest presentation, but we do hope that it will grow in the future. Science diplomacy, as my speakers before me, Professor Chaudhry and Professor Osama Rais adequately mentioned, is what is defining the diplomacy of now. It is quintessential, more in the wake of the breakneck speed of technological advancement. So science diplomacy is a moving target. The more we work on it, the more we find that it is one step ahead of our work. So in order to keep pace, it is important to take strides and take multiple strides towards this endeavor. Bilaterally, we have many avenues of scientific collaboration between independent states, but it is in the multilateral domain that science diplomacy is extremely important. Professor Chaudhary mentioned pandemic, climate change. In our own work, I have to deal with arms control, non-proliferation and disarmament. So in our area of uh, weapons of mass destruction, armament, disarmament, science is the bedrock of all these concepts. The aim of science diplomacy initiative is to embed society and technology within the diplomatic framework of the country and promote cooperation with international bodies, governmental organizations, and institutions like comstech. Our endeavor would fail if we are not able to remove the misgivings on miscommunications on science that Professor Balchaudhry mentioned about the misunderstandings, for example, in our own country about polio vaccine reference that he made. Internationally on climate change, there are misperceptions. Similarly, when the corona pandemic hit us, there were a lot of misgivings on vaccination and how best to treat it. So the purpose of science diplomacy is to iron out these fissures and to basically promote a society which is knowledge based, a society which is scientific based, a global society. And bilaterally and through multilateral interaction, we certainly can promote these endeavors. It is heartening to see that over the years, the collaboration of Comstech, this journal has evolved to become a regular publication. So whilst we constantly try to improve it, the periodicity with which it is published is important, and I hope that we would continue to have a annual or biannual cycle of this publication. The dedication of all those who contributed to this journal, including the author, the editors, and the advisory board, deserves commendation. The quality and diversity of topics covered in that journal are relevant for a wide range of readers, whether from the scientific or social sciences background. Articles have been well curated, niche-specific concepts on governance, diplomacy, policymakers, and we hope to further improve it. And here I would like request our distinguished ambassadors, envoys, to please encourage the contribution from your countries into the subsequent editions of this science journal to make it more diverse, more substantive, and obviously to value add to its utility. With these words, I once again thank Comstech for organizing the event. I thank our distinguished envoys, ambassadors for taking time out to be here. And I assure full cooperation of our office in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with your esteemed missions, with Comstech, to further promote our joint endeavors on science diplomacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind remarks and for highlighting the importance of science communication and extending your support to this effort. Now, the historic moment of the untying of ribbon and launching of the journal has arrived. I would request Professor Chaudhary, Ambassador Andarabi, Dr. Javed Khurshid, and Professor Osama to please assemble in the front of the stage to untie the ribbon and launch the journal. Last but not least, now it's a moment to save the memory by taking a group photograph. All the participants are requested to please rise on your seat for a group photograph. Yes, teacher. Please rise. Hello, Tayyib, please come here. Announcement for comstech team. Please escort